Computer. Sorry. I'm going to start over a little bit. Y'all that are live, my bad. Hey everybody, welcome to Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday podcast. If you're joining us, just starting off at the beginning of December with the first news of the week that Netflix has announced that it is acquiring Warner Brothers, which includes, the Animaniacs. But beyond that, that includes DC Studios, HBO, HBO Max, and all of their associated properties for a deal of $82 billion dollars. Now, putting that in perspective, Disney bought Marvel for $4 billion dollars. Four. Disney bought Star Wars for $4 billion dollars. So Disney only paid 8 billion for two of the largest properties of content in the world. Netflix is paying 82 billion for Warner Brothers uh catalog. Good morning, Tristan slash good evening down under. Um and so that's an astronomical fee for all that will come with it. And I'm sure they can make a lot of good use out of what they get, but that's a lot. So yeah, throw that out there. That just broke this morning right when I woke up. Uh Bryce Young from the Carolina Panthers has had a good year. Now, the Carolina Panthers are currently sitting at 7-6, um, and they're not the worst in the NFL, which is just a beautiful thing to say. The fact that the Panthers are a notch above the Kansas City Chiefs currently, and even if it's not a year that is like Cam's rookie year or anything like that, we're steadily getting better as a team. I'll just throw that out there. Bryce Young, though, I'm not just talking about fans, Carolina Panthers stuff. Bryce Young this year has a career high of 147.1 passer rating, beating his previous career high of 123. He has made 15 out of 20 passes, 206 yards, three touchdowns and zero interceptions and one victory in their last game. And so his numbers are looking really good, and the Panthers are doing better. Just throwing that out there for hot career highlights for Bryce Young. If you are a wrestling fan and you are familiar with Jimmy Hart, hey Kelly, good morning, dude. Jimmy Hart was a hype man and uh, sidekick to many wrestlers over the course of my lifetime, like during the Hulk Hogan era. Um, the I was asked on uh sorry, my brain is not braining yet. I was asked on Instagram, have I heard about that you're getting a new Stargate material on Amazon? Yeah, they're doing a soft reboot. Um that they're not going to read necessarily continue away from any story, but they're going to do a fresh new story. So I'm hopeful for y'all Stargate fans that it turns out well. Um I just want them to finish whatever story they're telling with Lord of the Rings so that it doesn't drop halfway. But I'm happy for that. Could be a good onboard for Stargate. But Jimmy Hart was always infamous or famous for carrying around a megaphone when he spoke and did his promos and stuff like that. And if you are a wrestling fan, you might know or have heard of WrestleCade. Every Thanksgiving weekend, there is a giant wrestling convention in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where all the wrestlers who are, and I'll say this lovingly, most of them are retired or older wrestlers. There are also young and up and coming wrestlers, where a lot of wrestlers will come and do autographs and stuff like that. And Jimmy Hart was at WrestleCade this past weekend, and someone stole his megaphone. Y'all, if you stole Jimmy Hart's megaphone, I hope you're not listening to this podcast. But on the low chance that you are the thiever of Jimmy Hart's megaphone, um, please give it back. That man That man needs that. That's paying his bills. Please give back Jimmy Hart's megaphone. Y'all, you stole the 21 Pilots jump drive and now Jimmy Hart's megaphone. Please give this stuff back and stop being thieves. Okay, bye. Um, Amazon, you speaking of Amazon, they are in hot water this week because of using AI to do full voice dubs for animes. Some of the lesser known animes like Banana Fish and Vinland Saga, No Game, No Life. Um, yeah, uh, received a full anime dub where Amazon did the entire dub work solely using AI. Um, and they caught a lot of heat for it. That being said, in the course of a week, they released an AI dub and now they've taken it back. So I'm sorry, Amazon responded to the hate that they got and took the dubs down. But either way, it's not a good look. And also, you're not going to get quality that way. People don't do it. Um, but yeah, that was just a bad life choice overall for them. In a really weird statement that I really never thought I'd be saying out loud, Michael Jordan is suing NASCAR and heading to court. Um, if y'all weren't aware, because honestly, I was not aware of this until this news story. Michael Jordan is the co-owner of 23XI Racing, and he uh is part of a NASCAR series, and he owns a NASCAR team, and he is in the process of taking NASCAR to court over antitrust allegations. Um, uh, Yeah, it's just in all the things I wouldn't if that would have been a trivia question, I would have got it wrong because I absolutely did not know Michael Jordan owned a NASCAR team. But he's suing NASCAR over antitrust issues, and yeah, just basically saying that the game is rigged for owners and for drivers, in terms of their payouts and teams. Uh, and so if you care about that, maybe keep an eye out. But yeah, I'm just surprised that's a thing. Olivia Dean is a musician, a singer, if you're not familiar with her. And she called out Ticketmaster this past week or so for their price gouging and how much they upcharge even for resale tickets. And Scotty says, you know some people that are. Yep. Um, Olivia Dean said that she didn't just criticize them, she made uh Ticketmaster give money back to the people that bought tickets. She said that some of the tickets for her shows were being sold by Ticketmaster for 14 times their ticketed value. And so she called them out and then made Ticketmaster actually give people their money back, which is nice. North Carolina has officially approved a law um, that's already in effect that now authorized teachers and staff and volunteers can begin concealed carrying guns in private schools. So I don't know how you feel on that one. But in authorized adults that have a concealed carry can now conceal carry in private schools. And there's lots to discuss in terms of like security for kids, but also like what happens when janitor Bob leaves his nine, you know, sitting around the lunchroom. It's a dangerous, yeah, thing. And there's people going to have a lot of things. Will kids be safer in some areas? Absolutely. Will they be in risk in some areas? Also, probably absolutely. But y'all can chew on that. GameStop this week hopes that it's officially put an end to all of their negative press in terms of how little they pay people for their trade-in values. Miss Santana says, or Janitor Bob having a bad day. Yeah. Um, that's the thing. It's supposed to be authorized people, but again, where's the authorization come from? How much training are we really putting into things? There's just an issue with that. But GameStop has been notorious for most of my life for not giving people great value for their trade-ins. Well, they think they've officially put the kibosh on that. Um, this week with one transaction where they paid out $30,000 to one transaction for one item. This week at a GameStop, and let me tell you exactly where if I can. On December 1st at 2:30 p.m. in Grapevine, Texas, a customer brought in a graded Pokemon card, which if you're not familiar with grades on Pokemon cards, I've got one right here. I actually won this at my church's Comic Con. Um, no, did I? No, somebody else had one. I won this at the Brothers Boyd show. Um, that's where Jeremiah. Listen, I think it would be a fun place to work. I think Jeremiah would have a ball there. But this is a level 10 graded Pokemon card. Okay. The one they brought in was a level 10 graded Gengar with some special features to it. Now, this is a Japanese melody, which is pretty cool. Um, and they brought in that card, and it's valued at roughly $34,000. GameStop paid this person outright 30 grand for that one card. Imagine walking into GameStop and walking out with 30 grand without robbing the place. Um, and they did it, and they said, GameStop had put this at the end of their official statement. Furthermore, any trolls who publicly claim that GameStop trade-in values are bad are hereby factually and demonstrably incorrect. Any prior ongoing objection to our trade value are now deemed without merit and factually invalid. Power to the players, GameStop. So, congratulations to somebody selling a Pokemon card at GameStop for 30 grand. Merry Christmas and God bless America. Um, and things that affect local cons and local ministry and other big events from around the world. Um, it says they paid out 30 grand cash. Now, I could be wrong, but that's what I saw. In credit, not like cash, but like it wasn't store credit. That'd be funny. The Raleigh Convention Center caught fire this week with a two-alarm fire that heavily damaged a majority of the roof of the Raleigh Convention Center. The Raleigh Convention Center is where things like GalaxyCon Raleigh, which is my biggest show of the year, and Animate and uh, I want to say Playthrough Gaming Convention, uh, but where a lot of big cons happen throughout the year. And not just cons, but also business events and things in the muggle world too. But the Raleigh Convention Center caught fire, the roof of it, and they're saying that most of the damage was contained to the roof, but we don't know what that process is going to look like. GalaxyCon's animation show, which is coming up in January, has already put out a statement saying, "Hey, we don't know what's up. We'll keep you posted." But that has happened, and the footage of that's pretty terrifying, honestly, because it's right in the middle of downtown Raleigh. You can see it from like every angle. Yes, silly muggles. Uh, CM Punk's dog Larry passed away this week. Larry has often been a part of his character and conjecture, and he's a vicious little dog. And he passed away this week, but it was the day after Survivor Series, and so that is, there's been some little tributes and stuff to them because he was such a character. In other unnecessary slash weird wrestling news, Maxine Dupree, who is currently the Women's Intercontinental Championship in WWE, uh, is getting married this month. And so her and her fiance, Anthony Luke, celebrated by doing a 7-Eleven engagement shoot, complete with slushies and a golf cart outside the 7-Eleven. So if you care to see Maxine Dupree and her engagement shoot at a 7-Eleven, those pictures exist. A Massachusetts church has caught the internets and the peoples by storm this week with a very political nativity scene. With the fact that the nativity is a political thing in general, when you actually go back to the New Testament. But they did a typical nativity scene, uh, but where baby Jesus was supposed to be, they put a sign that said ICE was here, and then put a phone number down at the bottom of the window to contact if you see ICE activity. And the pastor of the church has gone on to say that Jesus' story is an immigrant story, and that literally, if you read the New Testament, Herod had hundreds of children killed during that time and sent people looking for this air quote immigrant baby, and that this is, the best way that they can help their community. So there's a lot of dialogue happening about it. But yes. The nativity scene is all over online if you want to actually physically see it. Mad Men, the drama from AMC, has officially hit HBO Max this week in 4K. But for whatever reason, when they loaded the series to HBO Max, it like loaded an unfinished version. And so you would see crew members working on the side of the screen, or people, or like hoses, or wires, or microphones, or things like that all throughout the show. So they're taking it back and fixing it. But it's weird to release something in 4K only to have it be a rough draft. 1.5 million bags of shredded cheese sold at Target, Walmart, Aldi, and more are being recalled for possible metal fragments. So, if you're having your 3 a.m. shredded cheese moment in front of your fridge as you question your life existence, check it for metal and make sure you pay attention to the recalls. Fallout Season 2 will be dropping December 17th, will be the first episode, and it will release weekly all the way up to February 4th. So Fallout Season 2 is coming. Selena Truck Stop in Tennessee is this is so hilarious to me. Selena Truck Stop is Selena 52 Truck Stop is the truck stop. And they made an announcement that due to budget issues, they can't hire a real Santa. So this year, for $5, you can take a picture with Santa in his coffin, where they got a very lifelike dummy, dressed it as Santa, put it inside a coffin, and put a wreath with Santa on it behind it. And so you can have your crying child take a photo in front of Santa's open casket in the middle of a gas station for $5. I mean, it's a bargain. I low key want to drive to Selena gas station just to take this photo. Um, and other wholesome news, Netflix is officially rebooting Little House on the Prairie. Um, and they revealed the cast of the family. And yeah, Netflix is going to be remaking Little House on the Prairie. So whatever that does for you, if that excites you or terrifies you, get ready to experience some new life uh, with this family. In one of the oddest projects, but honestly not surprising, projects that was announced this week, Leslie Odom Jr., the star of Hamilton, and a couple other things, uh, is set to write and star in a horror film adapted from a 2024 Rolling Stones article. This just keeps getting thicker about Sammy Davis Jr. and his ties to the Church of Satan. John Jacobs, yes, Little House for real. But Netflix, the Netflix that just dropped $82 billion to buy Warner Brothers, and they're rebooting Little House on the Prairie. Yes. But the movie will be called Dance with the Devil and will be a pseudo-biographical horror film about Sammy Davis Jr. and his ties to the Satanic Church. Now, Sammy Davis Jr. for a large portion of his life identified as Jewish, but there were, in fact, times that Sammy Davis Jr. practiced satanic practices. So Leslie Odom Jr. is going to write, star, and direct in this Dance with the Devil project, and this just sounds interesting. Uh, I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to watch it, but it's my interests are piqued. One of my favorite things that often gets overlooked is a Rat Pack movie from the early 2000s, maybe the 90s, um, that starred Ray Liotta as Frank Sinatra, Don Cheadle as Sammy Davis Jr., and he was a great Sammy Davis Jr., and I think Leslie Odom Jr. could kill it. Um, but yeah, throwing it out there. CM Punk has also joined a cast of a Netflix rom-com called The Bodyguard. I don't think he's the romantic lead, but CM Punk is now in a rom-com on Netflix. We are officially hitting the end of an era for broadcast anime, as One Piece will officially become a seasonal anime after 25 years of straight episodes. If you're not aware, um, as of this Saturday, we will be at episode count 1,151 episodes of One Piece, and it has been going strong since 1999. Now it will be a seasonal anime after the last three episodes of this era air. And as they are nearing the finish line, air quotes, I sort of don't believe it for One Piece. Uh, this isn't Stranger Things spoilers, but I am just going to mention Stranger Things in case you missed it. Legendary, to me at least, director and creator Frank Darabont, who created the Shawshank Redemption film, uh, as well as other things in the first six episodes of The Walking Dead, uh, directed episode four and a chunk or sorry, he directed episode three and will direct a chunk of episode four and did direct a chunk of episode four for Stranger Things and will also be directing episode five. I'm just saying, you've got the dude who made Shawshank directing some of Stranger Things in their final season, and I'm pretty appreciative of that. And honestly, you can tell in some of episode three and four. This year, Taylor Swift has officially been dethroned as the top Amazon, it's not Amazon, sorry, the top Spotify artist for a couple years now. Taylor Swift has been the top streamed artist on Spotify. And surprisingly, especially by our country's vibe towards him right now, Taylor Swift was toppled by none other than Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is officially the most streamed artist on in music for 2025. And in a piece of news that I am personally invested in, slashed, am watching with my fingers barely covering my eyes in cringe and fear. If you are aware, one of my favorite bands of all time is Five Iron Frenzy. John says episodes 1 through 4 of Stranger Things was amazing, and yes, it is. One of my favorite bands of all time is Five Iron Frenzy. In fact, as I can, within desk reach without planning this, pull out a bumper sticker that says I used to listen to Five Iron Frenzy. Um, literally, it's just sitting on my desk in my pile of stickers to use. Um, Five Iron Frenzy has had an interesting past. By the way, the saxophone player for Five Iron Frenzy has been on our podcast a couple times, and they were featured almost a decade ago in book 3 for Faith and Fandom, and the soundtrack. But Five Iron Frenzy has been pseudo divisive among the Christian culture for the last couple of years. Um, they retired back in 2003. Yes, 2003. Were gone for 10 years, showed back up, and kind of started over. And they've dropped 2 albums since their 2013 return. And their last album was political in a lot of ways. But if you've ever listened to Five Iron Frenzy, even from the beginning, their stuff was political. Just people just remembered the warm fuzzy stuff, or the trumpets made them not pay attention to the fact they were talking about, social economy and class and racism and genocide and things like that. So Five Iron Frenzy, from my understanding, their social media is managed 99% of the time by Leonore, Jeff the girl, and is usually pretty tame. Occasionally, Andy, who is their drummer, will get a hold of their socials, and he's not so tame. Um, Five Iron Frenzy was at one point in time a Christian ska band. Now they still are in a lot of ways. Also, look, here's another Five Iron Frenzy sticker on my desk. This is one I make though. Um, they uh they initially disbanded in 2013 or 2003 because 2 of the members stopped being believers. One of the founding members, Scott, and the drummer Andy, stopped being believers, and they didn't want to continue on being in a Christian band, um, and not everybody be Christians. So fast forward decades and some change. Now they're cool just playing their music, even if only a portion of the band are believers. I don't know where everybody stands spiritually now. I know that Leonore is a prison chaplain in his ministry, and that for the most part, everybody else is still loving Jesus. I don't know that, but Andy, and I can say Andy's doing it because he changed the Five Iron Frenzy profile photo to be his photo. Um, Andy changed the banner or changed a post on their Facebook page to say "Fighting Christian Nationalism since 1995." With a quote under it says, "You didn't even know what that was yet." And to if you are a Christian and you're not kind of way out there, you might not even know what Christian nationalism is in terms of other people's perspectives. Um, and which is evident in Five Iron Frenzy's post, um, with the comments and how people are responding to it. And it's turned into a real cluster of chaos in that comment section with people who aren't aware of the concept or aren't aware of people's perspectives. Um, but effectively, Christian nationalism doesn't mean you're a Christian and you like your country. By perspectives, it means that you will choose your political beliefs over everything else and throw Jesus' name on it to justify what you're doing. It's a rough, rough depiction. And so they're sparking controversy among their fans, among the church, among the not the church. And it's honestly been one of their most responded to posts in a long while. And just throwing that out there that it's a conversation that's happening. So if that's a conversation that interests you, you might want to check that out with Five Iron Frenzy's current controversy in that capacity. And news that doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form because I don't own any of this and don't think I'll ever budgetarily will. Prada just purchased Versace. So two of the biggest names in luxury fashion just took each other out. Prada purchased Versace for $1.4 billion dollars with a B. If you are aware, the NFL during a certain chunk of the season allows a thing called My Cause, My Cleats week. I mentioned it last week as one of the players did uh, Samaritan's Purse with Operation Christmas Child on their shoes. This past week, NFL player Trayvon Henderson of the Patriots used his cleats to spotlight Christian persecution in Nigeria. Um, if you aren't aware, if you've listened to this podcast in the last 6 weeks, you've heard about the Christian persecution in Nigeria. But of the thousands of people that have been killed, kidnapped, or maimed in Nigeria, specifically for being Christian. But during his My Cause, My Cleats, he has white cleats dripped with blood um, that says pray for persecuted Christians. It's got people praying and crosses all surrounding it. And on the back of one of them, it says faith endures. But it's just a strong uh, message, especially for an NFL rookie to take. If you grew up in my era and you watched Mortal Kombat in theaters like Mortal Kombat 1 or 2, then you'll know him as Shang Tsung. But actor Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa has passed away at the age of 75. This was the actor who played Shang Tsung in the first couple Mortal Kombat movies. K-pop Demon Hunters are officially getting an entire line of vans. That would be the skater shoe, not motor vehicles. But you'll be able to get an entire line of vans featuring Huntrix, the Sazera Boys, the Derpy Cats, and more. So that Vans and K-pop Demon Hunter. Leonardo DiCaprio has officially confirmed this week that they will be filming and starring in, or he will be filming and starring in Heat 2. If you're unaware, Heat is a beyond classic crime thriller with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer from back in the 90s. And this will be a 30-year sequel that will capture the same heart. They don't expect to recreate it, but they expect to capture the same heart of it. So Heat 2 is officially coming. Lego has announced a Creel House Stranger Things model will be coming from Lego on January 1st, which, by the way, if you are that big of a Stranger Things fan, John Jacobs says he was also in a Latino gang in Blood In, Blood Out. Word. If you care enough about Stranger Things to spend $150 or more on a Lego set, you might also want to drive to Georgia because you can actually walk up to the Creel house and see the photos. Miss Santana says, "Did I like the K-pop Demon Hunter movie?" Short version, yes. Thought it was creative. It was done by the same team that did Into the Spider-Verse. Um, and the music is really good. The last song in the film, What It Sounds Like, broke my heart and made me openly cry very heavily. My kids love it. I've been able to talk to a lot of people about Jesus because of it. If you go on our website or on our podcast channel, we do have a K-pop Demon Hunter devotional. It'll be in the next book, but you can read it or listen to it now. But yes, I liked it. And if people want to have a conversation about anything about how bad it is or anything, well, we can always sit down. If you buy me coffee, we'll talk. And things that don't need to happen. Vin Diesel will write a movie for Mattel based on Rock'em Sock'em Robots. So, of things we don't need, A Vin Diesel written and starring Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie is on that list. Yep, you tell him that's how I feel, but I enjoy it, and I hope he has a great day. And other things that I don't know that we need. I ain't hating on you if it. I'm not trying to yuck your yum, but there's now officially a Labubu movie coming from Sony Pictures. So, of things we needed, Labubu is getting a movie. This is a serious statement. Miss Lynn says, once again, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Agreed. Um, I'm going to make a serious statement, and it's going to have non-serious sounding circumstances. Don't take me as not caring by saying what I'm going to say. Hear me out. A teenager, an 18-year-old, um, Paris Green says it would be funny if Vin Diesel did a Hello Kitty. See that? I'm down with. Um, a 18-year-old named George Smith has gone missing after hiking near Dracula's castle. Yes, just throwing that out there. A teenager hiked by Dracula's castle and has gone missing. First of all, that's a plot point that doesn't sound like just a normal person's day-to-day life. But George Smith, an 18-year-old, was hiking alone in the Bukugi Mountains in Romania, and he called the mountain service for help on November 23rd. Um, and he was disoriented and physically exhausted and showing signs of hypothermia. And he called and asked for help. But because of where he's hiking, it's really hard to get to, and the weather's really bad, and they haven't been able to get to him. Listen, if you tell me a teenager makes a distress call from near Dracula's castle and he's disoriented, physically drained, buddy, that doesn't sound good. And I really hope that George is found soon and healthy. But it sounds like you just had a character plot development. That's scary. The Jonas Brothers put their hands in the cement at the Chinese theater and the TCL Chinese theater and did that together. So that's neat. Um, Canadian lawmakers are moving to remove religious protection from things deemed as hate speech. Now, all that sounds well and good, but that boils down to that if your beliefs contradict someone else's and you express that in a way that comes across as disagreeing, you won't have any religious protection in terms of sharing your perspective and that you can be charged criminally with hate speech. Now, I'm all for freedom of speech. I'm all for religious liberty. I will say that if what we say can't be expressed in a way that it's not needing to be defended as hate speech, then we're probably not doing something right in the first place. Just as an overall blanket statement that even if we are in a place of disagreement with people, we should be able to speak lovingly enough, speak the truth in love lovingly enough that hate speech isn't part of the discussion. That's just a side note, throwing that out there. And I get it that if you're being targeted in a confrontation of that nature, then it's a separate thing. But it's a slippery slope for persecution in that capacity. Also, in weird notes about persecution, Samaritan's Purse was hijacked in South Sudan this past week. A plane that was delivering medicine was hijacked in South Sudan by a man, but they were able to land safely in Wow. Wow is like the place, WAU. And no one was seriously injured, but the plane was hijacked. Uh, a man was broken down on the side of the road the other day, and as he was broken down on the side of the road, he started live streaming on TikTok, um, as he was trying to figure out what to do because he didn't know how to fix what was wrong with his car, and he was live streaming it in the process. And someone pulled over to help him, and the person that pulled over to help him was none other than Justin Bieber. And the dude's reaction of like, as this kid gets out of the car and starts helping him, he's like, "Wait, are you Justin Bieber?" And like he has a whole breakdown, and they have this commercial. He's like, and he literally, this man just begins to bare his whole soul to Justin Bieber and is in tears of encouragement by the end of it. And like, it just sat there and blessed him. And so, crazy reaction and not what you'd expect from Highway Patrol or anything, but the dude's reaction was pretty priceless with everything. If you are a child of late night TV, as I was, you remember the Sham Wow. Uh, well, the dude from Sham Wow, Vince Shlomi, is running for Congress in Texas. And I swear to you, if Vince does not use some Sham Wow magic in his marketing campaign for his congressional run, I'm gonna be real sad. He better be like draining the swamp with his Sham Wow. I need something in that nature. Uh, this week, floods have been ravishing Southeast Asia, stuff that we wouldn't normally hear about in our media coverage. Over 1,000 people have died, um, as a monsoon has absolutely pummeled Southeast Asia. So be praying for those folks and hoping they get the resources they need moving forward. In sad news, and I will say tragic just because it's not what you expect when these situations, a fitness coach named Dmitry Nuyazin died this week. He was a fitness coach and influencer from Orenburg, Russia. He died this week because he was trying to prove how quickly you can lose weight. And so, in proving how quickly you can lose weight, he was first trying to quickly pack it on. And so, he was consuming 10,000 calories of fast food a day, and his body gave out. Because he was trying to pack it on fast so he could lose it fast. And he died, because his body could not handle the intake of so much unhealthy food. And that's seriously a sad day in that capacity. Um, Michael and Susan Dell uh, have pledged, uh, these are billionaires, are going to give away $6.25 billion, um, across 250 million kids, or across 25 million kids. Michael and Susan Dell have pledged to put $250 into the account of 25 million children across, America. So effectively, the money is going to be used for investments. Yeah. So if you've got a kid and you've got an account for your kid or what, I don't even know how it's going to work, but apparently they're just going to drop $250 in 25 million different accounts for children. It's craziness. Rage bait is now the Oxford word of the year for 2025. Oh. Uh, a streamer named POV Wolfie, which I actually believe I gamed with playing Destiny, back in the day. But a streamer named POV Wolfie is making more name and news for himself with horrible charity, which he says he's doing 100% just for the clicks and for the attention it gets him, which is, I guess, this is a success in that capacity. Um, where normally people give to the homeless by giving them food and water and things like that. For instance, just shout out to our church for just being gangster last night. Our church fed homeless folks or people in need 150 plates of food last night. They made a full Thanksgiving dinner, took it to all the places where homeless were encamped in our area. And yeah, great. That's cool. That's good charity. That's how we should love our neighbors in some ways. POV Wolfie is recording his what he's doing, but it's also just not good. He is going around to homeless groups and tent cities and things of that nature and giving the homeless folks unlimited amounts of whiskey, syringes, and machetes, and then just recording what happens. So, one more time, this dude is pulling up to the homeless, giving them as many bottles of whiskey as they can carry, handfuls of syringes, and machetes. And yeah, people are saying, why haven't the police done anything about this? And technically, he's not doing anything illegal. Um, because the machetes you can buy at any dollar store or thing of that nature, and he can claim that they're for clearing debris or whatever else, but it's causing chaos. And he said, and he's proudly doing it just for the entertainment value, which is absolutely terrifying. Oh, Kalashi co-founder Luana Lopes has a Luana Lopes Laura has officially become the world's youngest female billionaire at 29 years old. Yep. Uh, also the in China, yes, in China, the Longhua Perfect World Cinema has invited animal lovers um to bring their pets to watch Zootopia in China. The cinema management said they uh, had prepared diapers, wipes, and cleaning pads for each seat for to be able to clean up after their dogs. But they imagine an entire theater full of dogs watching Zootopia. My brain twitches at the thought. Just because I don't even like hearing people chew popcorn. And if you're talking, I'm gonna not like you as a person. You bring a dog and like a whole theater of dogs, the utter chaos. No, no, no. Okay, that's our news for the week. Um, let's jump into our Bible reading. Oh, all right. We're gonna see what we're reading today. Uh, all right, we are going to use the black rock, paper, scissors dice. So fist is Old Testament, scissors is New Testament, and paper is whole Bible. Miss Lynn says, I wish I had the disposable income to take a pet to the movies. I wouldn't, but I want the money to be able to do so. Right? Right. Um, yeah. All right, let's see what we're reading. Old Testament, hard and heavy. All right. So there are 39 books in the Old Testament, which means we're going to roll two D20s and take one away from whatever we roll to allow for rolling a one. We got 11 and 19. 11 and 19, 20, 30. Um, yeah, so that's 30, and we'll take one away. So we're going to read the 29th book of the Old Testament. So I'm going to count backwards. 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, 29. Joel, 1161. You know what? We've actually landed on Joel before because I've got a little note in here. All right, let's see what we're reading. Joel has one, two, three, just three chapters. All right, so Joel chapter three. Joel, we're gonna roll through three. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll a d6, and one and two is one, three and four is two, and five and six is three. One. So we're gonna read Joel chapter one. I feel like we've already done this. We have. Yeah, I think I've done this one for the podcast already. Check my notes. Oh, you know what? It's not in here on my notes, so we'll just roll with it. Um, go ahead and mark that. Joel chapter one. And I'm going to use the Faith and Fandom devotional journal with y'all to do it. Razzle dazzle. So we've done this the last 3 weeks. Date is 12/5. Book is Joel. Chapters 3. Okie dokie. Um, so let's do Joel chapter 1. The word of the Lord came to Joel, son of Pethuel. Hear this, you elders. Listen, all you who live in the land. Has anything like this ever happened in your days or in the days of your ancestors? Tell it to your children, and let your children tell it to their children and the children of the next generation. What locust swarm has left the great locusts? What the locust swarm has left, the great locusts have eaten. What the great locusts have left, the young locusts have eaten. What the young locusts have left, other locusts have eaten. Wake up, you drunkards, and weep. Wail, all you drinkers of wine. Wail because of the new wine, for it has been snatched from your lips. A nation has invaded my land, a mighty army without number, It has the teeth of a lion, the fangs of a lioness. It has laid waste to my vines and ruined my fig trees. It has stripped off their bark and thrown it away, leaving the branches white. Mourn like a virgin in sackcloth, grieving for the betrothed of her youth. Hmm. Grain offerings and drink offerings are cut from the house of the Lord. The priests are in mourning, those who minister before the Lord. The fields are ruined, the ground is dried up, the grain is destroyed, the new wine is all dried up, the olive oil fails. Despair, you farmers, wail, you vine growers, grieve for the wheat and the barley, because the harvest of the field is destroyed. The vine is dried up, and the fig tree is withered. What's up, Jace? The pomegranate, the palm, and the apple tree, all the trees of the field are dried up. Surely the people's joy is withered away. That one, though. Surely the people's joy is withered away. Call it lamentation. Put on sackcloth, you priests, and mourn. Wail, you who minister before the altar. Come spend the night in sackcloth, you who minister before my God. For the grain offerings and drink offerings are withheld from the house of your God. Declare a holy fast, call a sacred assembly, summon the elders and all who live in the land to the house of the Lord your God, and cry out to the Lord. Alas for that day, for the day of the Lord is near. It will come like destruction from the Almighty. Has not the food been cut off before our very eyes? Joy and gladness from the house of our God. The seeds are shriveled beneath the clods, the storehouses are in ruins, the granaries have been broken down, for the grain has been dried up. How the cattle moan, the herds mill about because they have no pasture, even the flocks of sheep are suffering. To you, Lord, I call, for fire has devoured the pastures in the wilderness, and the flames have burned up all the trees in the fields. Even the wild animals pant for you, the streams of water have dried up, and the fire has devoured the pastures in the wilderness. So that's just a bad day. Man, glad to have you in here, Jace, for real. All right, so we did Joel chapter one was our role for the day. The main passage focus to me is a call for lamentation over the state of their people. Who wrote it? Joel, son of Puth, or Pethuel? Who is it written to? That would be Israel. Why was it written? Lamentation and mourning. When was it written? I don't know, and I'm gonna have to look that up. When was the book of Joel written? Between 835 and 800 BC. Others debate that it was written between 450 and 400 BC. So it's up for discussion. Oh, where was the location? It's Israel. Notes say that this is one of the most difficult books in the Bible to date. Hmm. Learn new things. Where was the book of Joel written? Uh, yeah, I was right. Judah slash Jerusalem. Cool. Symbolism present. Uh, there's lots of symbolism. Um, So locusts, that's both literal and physical, not just symbolism. Uh, drunkards, weeping virgins, priests, farmers, trees. Yeah, some of the symbolism present. Verses that stood out. Um, One that I had previously highlighted is tell it to your children and let your children tell it to their children and the next generation. Uh, the verse to me that just hit hard today was the phrase of mourn like a virgin in sackcloth grieving for a betrothed of her youth. Joel 1:8. And the reason I would say that one as a standout, and this is a little personal, um, but my daughter had a friend slash boy that she really cared about that passed away at a young age at a tragic situation. And like I knew that if she found out she was working at summer camp, and I knew that if she got on her phone during her break, that she would find out that her person she cared about had died. And I didn't want her to find that out via a text or anything, and which I was wise to do because people were blowing her phone up. So I had her boss at the camp take her phone away and put her off to the side so I could come talk to her. And I grabbed her and we drove off the property and I said, we need to talk. And I told her that her friend had passed away. And I don't know that I've ever seen an emotional reaction of that much grief just out of from 0 to 100 at once. And so when I was reading that verse, more like a virgin in sackcloth, grieving for the betrothed of her youth, like literally all I could see was her face at that point. And I know that's sad and tragic. But so that verse stood out. Um, what can I learn from this? I think one of the things I can learn from these situations is that don't wait until everything has fallen apart to seek God and correct what's broken. Because I would rather personally seek God uh while things aren't completely burned to a crisp than to do it from the place of the locusts have eaten everything. How can I apply this in my life? Live in obedience, live in gratitude, and seek God's presence as things arise. Was anything hard to understand? I'll say just straight up, like, if without doing further um commentary and breaking down of everything, like it's hard to understand the full context of the passage without further context study. Um, which is not every bit of scripture is meant to be read just as a chapter. Uh, but with that, like as even just looking up the history, like they're saying it was hard to even tell when this took place because of like it was kind of vague in that capacity. So say the full context is hard. Pop culture parallel that reflects this passage. Boy. Um, so pop culture parallel that reflects this passage. The vibe of absolute devastation and hopelessness, for me that we see here, would be something akin to like a end game before the help shows up, or there's got to be stuff that's more bleak than that though. Um, because this is bleaker than that because you know the hope is coming immediately after that. I'm gonna put some thought into that. A memeable verse from this passage. I don't know. This is a rough passage to look for a meme. Um, okay, this is a far reach. If you've ever seen Wayne's World, uh, there's a thing in Wayne's World where they're talking about promoting the concert. It's like you tell two friends, and then they tell two friends, and then they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and it like fills up the screen of people telling people, of people telling people, of people telling people. And so when I read that verse in verse 3, um, Joel 1:3, where it says, "Tell it to your children, and let your children tell it to their children, and their children to the next generation." Um, that's the memeable passage that comes to me. Um, what song would be the best soundtrack? I would say "Sing It Out" by Switchfoot. Um, because the whole verses in the beginning of it are all about desolation and the aching of it. Other notes, Old Testament destruction is hard. All right. So that's our notes for this, and thank you for joining for our news and our Bible reading. Before I go and do my muggle job for the day, um, let's take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. Which, by the way, if you're a Patreon supporter, you should have gotten mail this week, or it should be on the way if you're on one of those levels. But Jess Luttrell with Cosplay for Christ, Jackie Kraft, Kelly Townsend. Kelly, if you're still listening, I'm going to bring you books at church on Sunday. Alan Wallace, Fab Quack, Rivka and Tristan Birch, and John, I have a journal for you. Um, yeah, I feel like that's a pretty fitting meme, but I feel it's Jace, but it's also like dated. Like not everybody's gonna remember that, but all memes are dated in some capacity. But Alan Wallace, Fab Quack, Rivka and Tristan Birch, Dorothy Martin Winston, Michelle Stewart's, Fab Quack. I need to get you your stickers too. Forgive me. Um, Miss Lynn Turner, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you all for supporting the way um, that you do. And I'm gonna get out of here and go do some adulting for the day. And yeah, I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend and that it's not too overly taxing on you. And yeah. And get our verse ready. Hold on. All right. I swear I'm gonna write this down one day. I need hold on. This is it. I'm gonna pull out a card right here. This is the day where I actually write this down and work on memorizing it. Here we go. Here's the card. I'm gonna pull out a pen so it's brightly colored and I remember it. Because I'm gonna stop looking this up every week, but it's okay. But I'll put it right here with my microphone so I remember it for the next time. 3rd John, verse 2. Click. Dear friend. If I can spell friend right. Good grief. I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. And I think I like that little last part of it. I pray that all's go well with you, even as your soul getting along well. Like the verses where it says like, or not a verse, but people say, "Have the day you deserve." It's like, yeah, I hope things are going well as you they are with your soul. Um, on this note, and I know everybody's about peacing out, but just an update. Medically, I have an MRI scheduled for December 18th to reevaluate what they want to do for my spine and all the things attached to it. Um, thank y'all for taking time to listen. And as I read this now, dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. Thank y'all for taking time to listen, and I hope to see you all at a con real soon. Have a great day.